Hi there, my name is Abby. I'm the founder of Senior Savvy, which relieves tech stress for older adults so they can excel in today's world. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself online by creating secure passwords. Let's hop right into it. So if you can answer yes to any of these questions, you're in the right place. Do you reuse passwords? 98% of us do. There's no shame, okay? Do you have a hard time tracking your passwords? And have you been the unfortunate victim of an online scam? If you've answered yes, you're in the right place. You see, what I've learned from working with thousands of folks around the country is that we all struggle with passwords. Whether you're 22 or 72, you're struggling. And the reason being is that many of us don't have a really good system in place. Sometimes we just use little Post-its. Sometimes we use a tiny password keeper notebook that gets lost. And I know firsthand, I have been to your homes, I've looked under your bed, I've looked on piles of files for that little password book. Additionally, if you are married, you have a whole additional layer of passwords and communication you need to share with your spouse. And quite often what happens is we end up resetting the password because we can't remember it. And that just adds to a whole cycle of madness. But what I've found is that when you take some time to prepare your passwords, you are proactively engaging in something that you know is going to serve you. But when you don't, you are reactive, you end up repairing your identity, your accounts, and repairing those passwords over and over and over again. You see, when you don't have a plan in place, you become an unfortunate victim of online scams. And so many of us reuse our passwords on multiple accounts, which really opens us up exponentially. Additionally, identity theft reports are on the rise. And what happens typically is that people are noticing over and over that their accounts are having fraudulent activity. And for my clients, they happen to be in the category of experiencing the largest amount of losses for this online theft. And overall, the cost of losing your identity, the cost of having your accounts hacked into, it's around $1,300. And I don't want you to be a victim of an online scam. So I had to put together a class, a master class of how you can protect yourself online with unique and secure passwords you can remember. That's right. I have a system in place. I go in depth in the master class, and we're just going to touch on some of those points here today. So first, let's talk about what makes up a good password. I love this cartoon, this Dilbert cartoon, because quite often when I'm helping you reset your passwords, we have to keep going over these concepts over and over again, that a good password contains both upper and lowercase letters, as well as numbers, symbols. It's got to be at least 12 characters long. And the easiest way to make them up, the easiest way to create them is by using an indecipherable word or passphrase. But first, let's talk about the length, okay? So in the olden days, we had just a basic eight characters. There was no variation to it. You could just use your dog's name, the city you grew up on, the street name your first home was on, and that was typically what we used for our passwords. But they became very easy for hackers to crack into. So easy, in fact, that we had to add on an additional 4 characters in order to make them more difficult to crack. In fact, if you had a password of just containing upper and lowercase letters, the basic 8, that could take a hacker around 13 minutes to crack. Whereas if you added 4 characters to it, it could take upwards to 12 years. And this becomes increasingly challenging to crack when you add in a number, when you add in a special character. Now, I did a little bit of research and found that these are the top 50 most overused passwords. Do you recognize any of them? And if you do, I want you to go ahead and make a note of it, okay? Jot it down because we've got to change that. So let's now talk about the indecipherable word or passphrase. An indecipherable word is one that you take and you sub in and out numbers or special characters. For instance, you can use the and sign, the at sign, for any A. You can use the number 3 for any letter E. Whatever works for you, if you can remember that you're always going to sub out the letter I for a number 1, that is one step closer to creating a unique and secure password. Now, all of our passwords need a number, right? So what number should you use? Well, there's 2 approaches here. The first one is, I like to count up the number of letters in the account name. For instance, Amazon is 6, Lyft is 4. And I just keep it in between the www dot and the .com, and that's what I use, the first account name that comes to mind when I'm thinking of this account, and I keep it simple. Now you can put this number anywhere within your passphrase in order to vary the sequence, but a lot of people like to put it at the end or at the beginning. Additionally, one of my clients, Mary, said that she likes to add the date in which she is creating the password, or just really the year. So whether it's 20 or 2021. And this will always remind her how recent that password is, as well as when she may need to change it again. When you're considering a special character, I want you to choose one that's going to be most widely used on all of your accounts. And in addition to choosing one, I want you to choose 2. Why? I want you to use one special character for accounts A through L and another special character for accounts M through Z. This way, you are always going to use that one special character for A through L and the other one for M through Z. Now, yeah, this takes a little bit of preparation, but it's worth it. You will find that this will pay off for you time and time again. And in order to do some planning and some tracking, I want to encourage you to pick up a password notebook. Now, this is one I absolutely love. I've got it right here on my desk. Here's why I like it. It's hard to lose. It's big. It doesn't look like a password book. I can spot it from across the room. It's not going to slide in between my 2 car seats and I'll never find it again. So choose one that's big. Choose one that has large entries and one that's alphabetical. This is a system, and you've got to have the right book in place in order to make it work. If you're using a password log, this is good too, but sometimes it requires a little too much maintenance, updating it, keeping it alphabetized. So I want you to go with what works for you. Now, a lot of people will ask me about password managers. Aren't they great? Couldn't they use them all the time? Well, yes. If it works for you, I say stick with it, okay? There's no reason to fix something that's not broken, right? And if it works for you, great. But I've found that a lot of my clients have a hard time maintaining them and using them on their mobile devices. It's okay on the computer, but once they log on to an app, it becomes more challenging. And the reason being is that sometimes you may have another password manager turned on, like a Google Chrome password keeper or your Safari password keychain. And those will conflict. They'll be like 2 dogs fighting for a toy. So you want to opt for one and go with that one wholly and completely. Now, I know this is a lot of information to take in. And you know what? I break it all down into bite-sized steps with homework in my master class. So if you have any questions, go ahead and find me online, find me on YouTube. I'm putting videos on here all the time, as well as on Facebook. And just go ahead and reach out to me. I'm a real person, and I would love to hear from you if you have any questions whatsoever. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's my honor and my privilege to serve you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.